We all know that narcissists often take control of the people they interact with, leaving them feeling emotionally and mentally drained. What happens when an empath requests that a narcissist give up their power? There isn't much talk about this topic, and for narcissists who might find themselves in this position, it's a very scary truth. Most of the time we think of narcissists as being in charge, but when they try to give in to an empath, they experience pain they can't handle. This video will show the scary things that happen to narcissists who give in to the impact of an empath. Narcissists may think they are in charge of their feelings and surroundings, but giving in to an empath can break their very sense of who they are. What happens to the narcissist isn't the only thing that will shock you. The empath's skills will also change the narcissist's world in shocking ways. Watch all the way to the end to fully understand how much narcissists suffer when they try to give in to someone who can see through their lies and isn't afraid to use their power. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video with anyone you know who might be interested in learning more about how narcissists interact with empaths. Before we go any further, you won't want to miss the chance to learn more about this subject. Most narcissists like being in charge, and this sense of power is an important part of who they are. Their world is one where they control and shape their relationships, use situations to their benefit, and expect praise and approval to keep their fragile egos full. They think the world should revolve around them, and expect everyone to meet their needs and wants. They think they should always be the center of attention, and that their inflated sense of self-importance is not only okay, but important for their survival. They feel powerful because they are controlling and manipulating others, and they rarely get opposition to their demands, especially from people who are easy to convince and trick. But empaths are not the same. They don't follow the narcissist's rules. If an empath wants something, they don't need confirmation or approval, and they don't give in to a narcissist's constant need for attention. The narcissist wants others to meet their needs, but empaths are sensitive to the emotions of those around them, and can see through the narcissist's carefully built front. The narcissist's perfectly ordered world is upset by people who can naturally understand and sense other people's feelings, often without words. The empath's clarity challenges the narcissist's sense of being better than everyone else, which changes the relationship in a way that the narcissist is not ready for. If a narcissist gives in to an empath, it's not because they've had a realization about how to be humble or truly vulnerable. In reality, their submission is not a sign of self-awareness or real love. It is a plan to trick the empath into meeting their needs in a more sneaky way. Some people may think that if they change how they act, the empath's sympathy will help them, but this usually doesn't work. The trouble for the narcissist is that they are going into dangerous territory when they try to control the empath by giving in these ways. Because they can read feelings and figure out what people are really saying, empaths can get to the heart of a narcissist, which is something that narcissists usually try very hard to hide. When things start out, the narcissist might think they are still in charge. They might see how calm and kind the empath is, as well as how well they can listen without passing judgment, and think they have found an easy target. Narcissists are good at controlling the surface level of relationships, so they might think that this empath will be the same as other people they've met. As the friendship grows, though, the empath's strong empathy becomes too much for the narcissist to handle. Narcissists need to be admired, praised, and paid attention to all the time, but empaths don't give them this kind of reinforcement. They instead give us emotional truth, which is much stronger and often scary. Narcissists try to hide their hurt, emptiness, and desperate need for approval behind confidence and charm, but empaths can see through their masks and feel what the narcissist really feels. Because you know how the narcissist really feels, this information causes a huge conflict in their thoughts. The person can't control the empath the way they used to be able to do with other people. People who want to command and control others usually use praise, guilt, or fear. But these methods don't work with empaths, because they can see through these surface-level actions. When an empath refuses to feed the narcissist's ego, and is able to see the emotional truth, It changes the narcissist's carefully constructed world. This emotional openness starts to break down the narcissist's false sense of power over time. Narcissists like it when people think they are perfect and can't be hurt, but empaths don't believe them. The empath sees how vulnerable the narcissist is, and most of the time, they won't let the narcissist do bad things. Instead of love, they show what the narcissist is really like on the inside, which they rarely, if ever, want to face. This showing of their flaws is something that narcissists are not ready to deal with. Their whole sense of self is based on the idea that they are better than everyone else, that no one can touch them, and that they are perfect. The narcissist can't stand the thought of being seen for what they really are. Someone who is very timid, easily hurt, and afraid of being turned down. For them, this understanding is often the last straw. As the empath shows the narcissist's real self more and more, the discomfort gets impossible to handle. The narcissist has spent their whole life avoiding showing how weak they are by putting up walls of control and trickery. But because the empath can see through these defenses and bring these weaknesses to light, the narcissist has to face a hard truth that they would rather not face. The narcissist is not giving in to love or care in its best form when they give in to the empath. Instead, they are putting up with the discomfort of having their weaknesses shown. For the ego, this is where the real danger is. Because of how their ego works, they have to always look perfect, invincible, and in charge. They cannot stand the thought that they are weak, unstable, or flawed in any way. Therefore, giving in to an empath is not an act of love or real connection. It's an act of self-preservation, an attempt to trick the empath into supporting their skewed view of themselves. When the narcissist has to look at themselves through the eyes of an empath, their inner world starts to fall apart. They aren't ready for this because they've spent years polishing their illusions and putting together a perfect version of themselves to show the world. Every mask they wear and trick they use is meant to keep them in charge and give the impression that everything is great. But being around the empath takes these layers off, showing the raw, unfiltered truth. The empath doesn't fall for the narcissist's lies. And because they don't buy into the narcissist's inflated sense of self-importance, they go through a lot of emotional turmoil. A narcissist doesn't just like to present a perfect picture to the world. It's also a way for them to protect themselves from their own deepest insecurities. But the empath sees through this mask and only shows the narcissist their true feelings, which they can't hide. When this big difference happens, it makes the narcissist feel like they can't settle their inner conflict because they have to face the painful truth that their carefully built facade no longer holds up. This makes the narcissist want to get back in charge, so they usually use their regular methods of manipulation or withdrawal. They might try to get back in control by mentally or strategically pulling away from the empath, thinking that this will make them feel stronger. Another option is that they might use their usual tricks, like guilt, praise, or charm, to try to get the empath to submit again. This doesn't work very often with empaths, though. Empaths are very sensitive to minor attempts to control their emotions, and they often spot these attempts before the narcissist has a chance to carry them out. People who are narcissists usually try to control others through praise, guilt, or fear don't work on empaths. This makes the narcissist feel frustrated and powerless. For the narcissist, this feeling of hopelessness is new and strong, and it becomes a strong force in their inner battle. Narcissists like to be in charge, but when they find out they can't control the empath, their world starts to fall apart. The narcissist is hit with the hard truth that they do not have complete control over other people the more they try to regain their position of power. The empath doesn't meet their needs, doesn't boost their ego, and doesn't give them the approval they need. When you don't feed the narcissist's ego, it causes mental chaos that the narcissist can't fix. Their carefully made sense of self starts to fall apart when the empath shows how they really feel. Narcissists need to feel in charge to keep their sense of self-worth, but it starts to slip away. As they try to show who is in charge, they are hit with the sad truth that their power is weak, temporary, and ultimately unreal. Their whole life, which has been carefully built around the need to control and dominate, may make them understand that it is built on shaky ground. The narcissist is scared to realize this because they have spent their whole life trying to keep a perfect picture of themselves and be in charge of their relationships, surroundings, and thoughts. Narcissists have been dodging facing the truth about their own weakness for a long time. When the empath shows them they can't control them, they have to face it. Not being able to control things is more than just an unpleasant feeling. It's a deep existential problem. Narcissists like the idea that they are powerful, but when they're around an empath, that idea falls apart. As an empath can see the truth, they become a reflection of the narcissist's flaws, fears, and weak emotions. For the narcissist, this process of facing their real self is very painful. Their once perfect view of themselves starts to fall apart, leaving them with the honest truth about who they are. Someone whose need for approval never goes away, whose sense of self-worth is always changing, and whose sense of self is very fragile. The narcissist may try to fix their image, but it only gets worse as they do it. Because the empath is honest, they can't fix what has been shown. Not only is this emotional breakdown about losing power, but it's also about losing a whole sense of who you are. The narcissist has spent years carefully crafting an image that they use to control other people and avoid facing the uncomfortable truth of their own fears. The empath, on the other hand, can see through this mask and pushes the person to face their fears directly. Their whole lives, they have tried to hide the truth about themselves, but it finally comes out. This is a painful and scary process for the ego. When they look at the mental wreckage of their own weaknesses, they feel a deep sense of inner chaos and confusion. It's scary for them to realize that their power, their image, and their sense of self are all fragile and short-lived. When a narcissist loses control, and their real self is shown, it creates an inner conflict that they can't easily resolve. This inner turmoil is often what causes them the most pain. The narcissist's ego, which has always been a way for them to keep themselves from feeling inadequate, is now falling apart because of the empath's emotional power. This is a very upsetting event for the narcissist, because they have to face the truth about how weak they are. They can't hide the fact that they are weak, and in this moment of being seen, they understand that the image they have worked so hard to build over the years is just a fragile illusion. This breakdown isn't just emotional, it's also about the meaning of life. It feels like being torn apart for the narcissist, as their carefully put together world falls apart piece by piece. Being told the truth by an empath who can see through the narcissist's lies will always cause this emotional fall, even though it is very painful. Thanks for reading all the way to the end of this in-depth look at the pain narcissists feel when they give in to an empath. We talked about narcissists' mental turmoil when they can't change or manipulate their surroundings. I hope this helped you understand that better. If you thought this video was helpful, please like it, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. It's easier to deal with narcissists when we understand how they work, especially when they try to control or manipulate us. We can better protect ourselves and keep healthy limits if we understand the inner struggles narcissists go through when they interact with empaths. Keep in mind that an empath's strength lies in being honest about their feelings and making real connections, which is something narcissists can never fully control. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.